Education reform during the antebellum era in the United States was the first step towards universal education. This movement not only made education more accessible to the lower classes, but it also caused a transition from the educated masses to the enlightened individual and soul. The reform movement meant to tap into the full intellectual capability of every single American. Finally, while the reform movement offered a distraction to the tensions between the North and the South, the focus on the free soul heightened the atmosphere of sectionalism by endangering the existence of slavery.
Similar to the old ideas of Plato and Aristotle, Emerson believed in the enlightenment of the individual soul. An advocate of individualism and possibility, he argued that the culture of the American society can be truly revealed by tapping into the intellect of each individual. This individual, he explained in Emerson's essay entitled The American Scholar, is educated by nature, books, and action. Emerson was a leader of transcendentalism, an American literary, political, and philosophical movement of the early 19th century. Transcendentalism represented a new confidence in the power of the mind.
Arguing that universal public education was the best way to turn the nation's unruly children into disciplined, judicious, Republican citizens, Mann won widespread approval from modernizers, especially in his Whig Party, for building public schools. 6 principles were discussed regarding the problems of the public school system in an essay called The Common School Journal, written by Horace Mann. Número 1. The public should no longer remain ignorant. Número 2. That such education should be paid for, controlled, and sustained by an interested public. Número 3. That this education will be best provided in schools that embrace children from a variety of backgrounds. 4. That this education must be non-sectarian. 5. That this education must be taught by the spirit, methods, and discipline of a free society. And number 6. That education should be provided by well-trained professional teachers. Interview with Horace Mann. Question number 1. What was your intent, Horace, in reforming the public school system and establishing the common school movement?
Well, Emanuel, I wanted to give an opportunity to the less fortunate to advance in the social scale. Through education, the conditions of man will equalize. I believed that public schooling was central to good citizenship, democratic participation, and social well-being. Thank you for having me here. Goodbye, sir.
Noah Webster's American Dictionary, published in 1828, served to define the social, political, and the cultural identity that characterized Americanism. His revision of the King James Bible, published in 1833, reflected Webster's desire to construct a Bible that was used as a model of correct and decent English usage in American schools and homes. He noticed that the original version of the Bible had incorrect grammar, obsolete usages, and statements that were offensive, especially to females, and discouraged students from attending Bible classes and schools. Emma Hart Willard was an American women's rights activist who dedicated her life to education. She worked in several schools and founded the first school
for women's higher education, the Troy Female Seminary in Troy, New York. Emma's guiding educational philosophy teaches that every young woman who attends the academy will be encouraged to develop fully in all areas of her life as a strong intellectual in a variety of disciplines, as a practitioner of her chosen passions, as a social member of the community, and as a responsible global citizen in her future.
How important is education to the equality of men and women and to the independence of the latter?
Well, first of all, the taste of men, whatever it might happen to be, has been made into a standard for the formation of the female character. Reason and religion teach us, she said, that we choose our primary existences, not the satellites of men. Through education, women can see their potential and be able to redefine their roles within their communities.
Mary anticipated a change in the role of women and equipped her pupils with an education that was comprehensive, rigorous, and innovative, with particular emphasis on the sciences. She founded Mount Holyoke College in 1837 to fuse intellectual challenge and moral purpose. What kind of curriculum are you trying to implement at your schools for students?
The curriculum revolves around hands-on learning. I want the student not to be limited by a teacher. The true learner comes from the individual pursuing the education. That's why I introduced women to a new and unusual way to learn science laboratory experiments which they performed themselves. I organized field trips on which students collected rocks, plants, and specimens for lab work and inspected geological formation.
Long before most educators, Peabody embraced the premises that children's play has intrinsic developmental and educational value. She opened the first English language kindergarten in the United States in 1859. Question:
I strongly emphasize the moral and religious aspect of education. I never distinguish between spiritual and intellectual development. I believe that education was not an accumulation of facts but rather a lifelong process that developed the whole person.
What kind of innovative educational ventures did you partake in?
I established kindergarten in America in 1859. In 1832, I also held the first of my reading parties or conferences for women. The sessions consisted of reading, lecture, and dialogue on a particular topic, such as ancient history or the causes of the French Revolution.
Josiah Holbrook, the instigator of the Lyceum movement, believed that education was a lifelong experience. He wanted to take education outside of school and integrate it into the lives and culture of the American people. During the antebellum period, hundreds of informal associations were established for the purpose of improving the social, intellectual, and moral fabric of society, making use of public libraries, vacant schools, and other existing spaces. Lyceum organizers recruited some of the leading scholars, politicians, and orators of their time to provide entertainment and instruction to adult audiences. Lyceums eventually became a playground for abolitionists such as William Lloyd Garrison, Randolph Phillips, and Frederick Douglass. For example, Abraham Lincoln spoke at the Young Men's Lyceum to denounce the lynchings of several slaves in Mississippi. William Holmes McGruffy was tasked by a Cincinnati publishing firm to create a series of graded readers that adapted the values, culture, and beliefs of Russian people